Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. The Karens really like to overreact. I hope you're okay now, OP. I'm sure karma will take care of her. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. A Karen tried to fight my brother and I after almost crashing into my car. Not my first encounter with a Karen, but by far the craziest. This just happened earlier today. I was driving my younger brother to a doctor's appointment and almost got into an accident when a woman ran through a stop sign and almost T-boned my car. It was scary, and we were both high-key panicking, so I found a place to pull over so I could try to calm down. Once I check to make sure everything's okay, I'm about to start driving again, but there's a knocking on my window. It's the woman who almost hit us, who apparently parked right behind us and came to talk. I thought she was going to apologize or something for, almost hitting us, but nope. My brother rolls down the window and she immediately starts screaming at me. This is pretty much how our conversation went. Karen: "How dare you?" Me: "I'm sorry?" Karen: "You could have killed me, you GD idiot." Me: "I'm sorry, ma'am, but you ran the stop sign," and at this point she was just cursing me out and screaming at the top of her lungs, telling me crap like I suck at driving and stuff. And honestly, while I'd probably laugh at her behavior if I was watching it as a video on this sub, but I have major social anxiety and this whole interaction was not something I can deal with, so naturally I start to tear up a bit. My brother notices and speaks up for the first time, asking the woman to please leave us alone and let us on our way because we'll be late for our doctor's appointment. This woman goes off. She starts insulting everything she can about us, the fact that I'm clearly anxious, our appearances, the way I drive, my car. My brother asks her to leave again, and instead of doing that, she grabs the door handle, starts to shake it as if she's trying to open the door, and tells my brother to exit the car and fight her. Now, my brother's a giant. He would tower her and honestly probably beat her in a fight, but he's only 16. And as his older sister, I'm not about to let him fight this crazy woman, so I tell her I'm not letting you fight my brother. She once again starts yelling, claiming she'd beat him into the ground, and I tell her, "You're threatening to beat up a minor." So of course she threatens me now instead, which is fine, whatever. I'm a tiny 20-year-old, but there's no way I'm actually going to fight her. So I'm prepared to attempt to fight her away with words. Then she sticks her arm through the window and attempts to reach me, almost whacking my brother in the face. There's a lot of screaming. My brother manages to push her arm out. I close the window and drive off. I really wish I could have gotten this on video, but I didn't. And our second story. Popular retail chain does a complete 180 on their dress code. Necessary backstory. Otherwise, I look like the a-hole who goes grocery shopping half an hour before they close on Christmas Eve. My workday started yesterday at 6 a.m. and ended a little after 7 p.m. The day before, I worked from 5 a.m. until somewhere around 9 p.m. I don't remember off the top of my head what time or how long I worked during the days before that. It all just kind of runs together at this point. Today was my first day off in 9 days. Being off today has nothing to do with Christmas. That wasn't planned. I hadn't really thought about it being Christmas Eve until about an hour after I got to work when I wrote the date down. I knew it was Christmas Eve, but I guess that was when it fully registered. Anyway, that made me realize that I should probably stop somewhere after work and get some food since everything will be closed tonight and tomorrow. Yes, I have food at my house, but not much, and it's mostly just random staple food. I've spent an excessive amount of time at work this year, and I've learned that it's usually just easier and cheaper to either eat from the cafeteria or do restaurant pickup from somewhere. Any other year, this really wouldn't matter because I'd spend almost all of Christmas Day off with family where there's plenty of holiday food, but time was limited and I obviously didn't plan well. I didn't want to go to a grocery store that late on Christmas Eve, but I also really didn't want to wake up this morning and eat noodles and mustard for breakfast. So that's the backstory. In a nutshell, I've just been working a lot and Christmas sort of slipped my mind. So I leave work, drive to the nearest department store, park my car, and head toward the entrance. Literally, as I'm walking into the store, I hear someone on the intercom asking customers to please make their final selections as the store would be closing in 30 minutes. I feel like such an a-hole. I spent a good second or two entertaining the idea of leaving, but I was already there and was only grabbing a handful of items. There was no way this would take me more than 10 minutes. I grab one of those little baskets and head toward the grocery section. I hadn't been inside the building for more than 30 seconds, and suddenly this very obviously irritated 30-something-year-old man with 3 young kids in tow steps in front of me and yells, "Excuse me." Obviously, this took me by surprise. I was on a mission and hadn't planned for anything confrontational. I, being the quiet, kind of shyish introvert that I am, didn't really know how to respond, so I just stood there. I'm pretty sure my lack of a response made the guy even more angry, and he proceeds to yell at me again, this time asking, "Does this place not have a bathroom for my kid to use?" I'm so confused because at this point it hasn't occurred to me that he might think I'm an employee because, well, why would he? I'm carrying an empty shopping basket and I'm wearing freaking scrubs. Now, I'm a super laid-back person. It's not very often that people legitimately yell at me out of personal anger. So when that does happen, I have this tendency to throw all common sense out the window and either totally freeze or devolve into a toddler that's just starting to form 3-word sentences. So naturally, my response was a very long and drawn-out, I don't know, maybe? I really want to emphasize how long and drawn out that first was. So he gets louder. "You don't know?" I'm so far beyond comfortable at this point, not to mention hungry and tired, I just need to leave. I say something like, I don't know, sorry, I don't know, and just take off walking really fast. I'm not even walking in the right direction anymore. I just need this guy to go away. I turn down the nearest random aisle to find an alternate route. I can still hear the guy cussing at me, calling me names, etc., just a plethora of obscenities. As long as he's not following me, I don't care. That guy was a weirdo. I just want to get my stuff and leave. My unexpected detour made me realize that I really needed new socks. And there they were, right in front of me. So I grab a bag of socks, turn to head back toward the grocery part of the store, and I hear the voice of an older woman asking, "Are the dressing rooms not open?" I turn around and she's definitely talking to me. Huh? Is she just making random conversation with a stranger, or does she think I work here? That's when I realized that the crazy bathroom guy with the anger issues must have thought I worked there too, but I wasn't really sure yet who this woman thought I was, so I just answered politely, "I think they've been keeping the dressing rooms closed since the pandemic." I guess my use of the word "they've" let the woman know that I wasn't an employee. She says, "Oh, you don't work here. I'm so sorry." I told her it was fine and that she was the second person to think that tonight. It was awkward, but she was super sweet, so we just shared a quick laugh and I began walking toward the groceries again. As I'm walking, all I can think about is the fact that 2 different people just confused me for an employee at this department store. In addition to the scrubs, I'm also wearing a matching jacket that everyone in our department received a few days ago as a Christmas present from management. The jacket was unzipped, so it wasn't hiding the scrub top. But even if it was zipped up, the back of the jacket has the name of the hospital along with the logo, and it's a pretty well-known hospital. As I'm filling my basket, I'm looking around at other employees, and our clothing has absolutely zero in common, so weird. Anyway, I spend another minute or two grabbing what I need and start heading to checkout, still thinking about the old woman and the crazy bathroom guy with the anger issues. I'm about 30 feet from checkout, and I'm looking at all the cashiers. They're all wearing khaki pants and red shirts. I'm wearing faded slate gray scrubs. I pass a middle-aged guy on my way, and he stops me and says, "Excuse me, ma'am, may I ask you a question?" Nothing makes any sense at this point, so I just politely respond, "You can, but I don't work here." He apologized, and I got in line, paid for my items, and left. I don't think I've ever been more confused in my life. This has to be one of the weirdest things I've ever experienced. Over the course of 10 minutes, 3 different people thought I worked there. My only logical conclusion is that everyone is just stressed around Christmas time and they weren't paying any attention. Still really weird, though. And our last story. Confronted my neighbor who's stealing from my garden. This spring, a young woman, let's call her Kristen, moved into the house next door to me. She owns some sort of catering business for weddings and runs an Instagram account about food. We live in a semi-remote area about 15 minutes outside of a small town. During pandemic, I got very into gardening and love my thriving vegetable and herb garden. I tend to it very carefully, and I love that I can feed my husband and kids with food I've grown. This summer, produce has begun disappearing. Some of my tomatoes, squash, eggplants, and herbs will disappear overnight. I see no signs of animals chewing them. No vegetables disappeared from my garden last summer. Obviously, someone is taking them. Kristen's the nearest house to mine. The other nearest are a bit of a walk down the road, and she's right next door, and I find it very suspicious that they began disappearing right after she moved in. I even checked her Instagram and see her posting photos of food this very week featuring the exact produce that's gone missing from my garden. Tomatoes, zucchini, eggplant, herbs. I confronted her about this yesterday evening, and she became very, very defensive. She said I was crazy and that she had no reason to steal from me as there's a farmer's market right down the road, and she grows her own windowsill herbs and has a supplier for her business. She even had the audacity to brag about how much money she makes, saying that her business brings in good money and that she would have no need to steal. From her defensiveness and this level of bragging, it seems obvious to me that she's lying. Things got ugly and she slammed her door in my face, which to me seems like further proof of guilt. Edit. While my garden was still producing vegetables, we installed cameras. Of course, my hunch was confirmed, and the thief was caught on tape. After I showed her the footage and threatened to go to the police, she stopped thieving. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.